What's going on, music fans? Welcome back to last week's album. I am Derek.
And I am Kevin.
And before we kick things off, let's start like we always do. Kevin, cheers.
Cheers, buddy, and everyone at home.
All right, this week we are reviewing Roll Me, Tumble Me, which is the third album from the Deadly Gentleman, which is, or it started out as a side project for Greg List, who was a member of Crooked Still. However, he has stayed together with the Deadly Gentleman, a quintet out of Boston. They are mainly focused. They have a lot of traditional Americana type instruments. List actually plays banjo. They have mandolin, acoustic guitar, you name it. They're a fun band. Well, before we kick it off, Kevin, why don't you start us with "Sounds Like"?
Well, hang on. While we're on background here, I'd like to share one little tidbit I found. These guys are the only band I've ever seen who offers music lessons on their website, which I think is pretty awesome. And actually, their sound is really approachable, and this proves that they are indeed approachable gentlemen as well. I thought that was hilarious.
And not deadly, I guess.
And not as deadly as they might describe themselves. So if you need lessons, hit them up. Anyway, yeah, let's jump into Sounds Like. Derek mentioned there's a lot of Americana and bluegrass instrumentation. There's mandolin, banjo, guitar, bass, and fiddle. So to me, these guys sound like a rousing game of how many bluegrass players can we squeeze into one band?
All right, well, apparently the answer is five, at least in this instance. But I like that. Yeah, I think this album sounds like a cooler Mumford and Sons. Like the Deadly Gentlemen make Mumford and Sons feel like Mumford's retro sound is just outdated and cliche and not cool. I really liked what they did here. So let's jump to key tracks. Kevin, what did you have?
Derek, for my key tracks, I have I Fall Back, Roll Me, Tumble Me, and Now Is Not the Time. What about you?
Oh, those are good. I also had I Fall Back, but I also had Bored of Raging and All the Broken Pieces.
All right, well, I can start us off with I Fall Back. I believe it's the album opener, and it has this really staccato opening and a slow build that kind of ebbs and flows, which is something the Deadly Gentlemen do a lot. They are entirely instrumental, so there's a lot of staccato sounds, and they do this sort of ebb and flow build throughout a lot of songs as well. But they also have some lush emotional harmonies right here from the start, and some breakneck banjo picking, which I think is only possible because, as you mentioned, Derek, Greg List plays banjo with four fingers, not the typical three. There's some fiddle riffing towards the end, and overall this song kind of reminded me of The Gorge, just this sort of laid-back, bluegrass, fun kind of sound. So what'd you think of it, Derek?
Absolutely agree with a lot of what you said. One thing that really grabbed me was the bridge, where there was kind of a dueling mandolin and banjo thing going on, which you kind of alluded to. The banjo really took off and kind of won the race, more or less, but really great beat. It had my foot tapping, and then I realized there isn't even a drum in that song, so kudos to them for pulling that off. I'll go next with Bored of Raging. This one, very much like you mentioned earlier, starts sort of inauspiciously, kind of a lone violin string, and once again the lush layered vocals. However, as the song continues, especially through the chorus, it really picks up speed and almost becomes kind of this barroom chant type vibe in the chorus that I really enjoyed. Just another really solid track that kind of builds from nothing into bright, warm, up-paced song towards the end.
A barroom chant about Bored of the Raging. Isn't that ironic? I'm not
Totally.
sure if that's the kind of raging he meant, but that's where my mind went. But yeah, it's also a great song too, Derek. That's actually where my best lyric is from, but I'll save it. For my next key track, I have Roll Me, Tumble Me, title track. Again, staccato, but it's more of a goofy jaunt, I'm calling it. It's got banjo and bass at the start before the mandolin, fiddle, and guitar all join in. And this head-spinning, almost unintelligible rhymes that is a feat in and of itself. And the lyrics, or the vocals rather, whatever you want to call them, are almost whispered, and the instrumentation at times almost feels like it's tiptoeing. And overall, the song is this exercise in restraint that makes your ears kind of perk up and listen better. And a lot of times I find with these sort of acoustic or Americana or bluegrass bands, whatever you want to call them, a lot of times they try to play as loud as possible or as fast as possible, almost making up for the fact that they're acoustic. And so I really enjoyed this change of pace here where they bring it down and try to play as soft and quiet as possible, which is a really fun, refreshing change of pace. So kudos to Deadly Gentleman for getting really creative there. What was your next key track, Derek?
Mine was All the Broken Pieces. You touched on something really good there, because this one, I guess, kind of starts with some just basic strum chords, and really, the focus there, it also is on the layered vocals there, which I thought were really good. But then, like the other tracks I mentioned earlier, it really picks up steam and really catchy vocal melodies in the choruses, I thought. And this one also provided me my best lyric, which I'll save, but another really solid track here.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one, but I'm going to go with Now Is Not the Time for my third track. And it's a goodbye song. There's guitar picking and mandolin palm muting right from the start, and then fiddle, banjo, and bass come in, and some major mandolin riffage between verses, which is really nice. Strong lyric here. Now, one at a time, I'm running out of years to blow. I heard that as sort of not only waste, but candles to blow on a birthday cake, years to blow. Think of it what you will. That's what I heard. And overall, I chose this one because it takes the Deadly Gentleman into more downtrodden territory. A lot of times they're sort of upbeat and fun, and this sort of lets you know what they do with a more serious tone, but there's still some hope at the end of it, so that's a nice little touch.
Absolutely. I thought a lot of their songs talked about were more optimistic than not, which really kind of added nicely to the, I guess, nostalgic type tone they have as a sound. All right, so best lyric. What do you have, Kevin?
As I mentioned before, it is from Roll Me, Tumble Me, and the line is, "You can say no to me, totally. Be a mess or be orderly. No, sir, yes, sir. Be less or be more to me." I think you can hear them as I'm saying it, some internal rhymes as well as verse-ending lines, which is just this entire song from start to finish is just one big rhyme fest. It's awesome.
That's a good one. All right, mine, as I mentioned, came from All the Broken Pieces. All the broken pieces are falling back into place. You can last as long as the past is gone. They're falling back into place. Although you kind of repeat some of the words, once again, you can kind of see some of the clever rhyming they got going on. All right, so let's get to almost the big finish overall rating. Kevin, what do you think?
All right, as much as I enjoy this album and their sound, I gotta go low. I'm going 2 out of 5. Super strong start, good finish, but it felt like they got lazy in the middle to me. They're also great at giving each instrument its place within each song, which is really difficult to do with 5 instruments, all acoustic. So that is great. But again, it just felt like the album had some holes. And from what I've read, these guys are all pretty talented musicians. Some of them are young and starting out, but they've all had a lot of experience under their belt. And I know this is a side project, but I just felt like they had more to bring, and they didn't bring it all. So going 2 out of 5. Still check them out. They're a great sound and great vibe, but I think they have better things hopefully in store in the future. What do you got, Derek?
I'm going to go twice what you gave. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I really dug the sound. I thought there were a lot of solid tracks on there. A lot of times I just catch myself, kind of listening, I guess not too intently doing other things, but I'd keep finding myself being like, oh, what's this one? I mean, there's some really catchy tunes in there. I thought instrumentally it was very solid, and the vocals, especially a lot of the uh, melodies they had going, I thought were really strong. I think your point has some credence. Yeah, they definitely have some room to grow, but I think this is a really good start, and I'm interested to see what else they produce going forward. All right, so there you have it. Roll Me, Tumble Me by the Deadly Gentlemen. Thanks again for joining us here at last week's album. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, on our channel here. And until next time, cheers. Thanks for checking us out.
Cheers, guys. Last week's
Talking
album.
about good music.
Talking about good music. That's right. See you guys next time.